Welcome to Mariposa Woolen Mill needle felting kit instruction. Felting is causing the fibers to intermingle and mat together, and there's a couple ways that you can do that. Wet felting is one way, which is hot water, a bit of soap, and a lot of friction. And the other way is needle felting, which I'm going to demonstrate to you. The needles that you use for felting have ridges that encourage the fibers to grab onto the other fibers, and the more that you poke it, the more that it felts. It's always best to use a surface like a foam or a rice pad to protect the needle because it's fragile and it's also very sharp. Everything you need is included in the kit, so let's get started. Okay, well, let's get started. First, we're going to map out our road, and then we'll work from inside out. So just going to place in some brown roving, just divide it so we have something more manageable. And this is basically going to be an outlining. Could even divide it again. An outlining, and then we'll fill it in with the lighter brown. So it's going to be a bit of layering. So this is not going to be the end color. This is not the only thing you're going to see. So this is basically just an outline. Kind of get us started so we can block out our colors. And if you get to a point in your drawing of this outline that you don't like the shape, you can pull it up and begin again until you're happy with it. It's going to be narrow and it's going to widen closer to you. It's just a bit of perspective. So I didn't like where that one was placed, so I'm just going to rearrange it because it's not a big commitment at this point. Just kind of anchoring it so I can get a feel for where I want it to be. Okay, I think I like that. So then we'll add in the light brown. I just like to work with smaller pieces, so I will divide it. Just gonna fill that inside space. So basically just blocking in the colors. Just try and hug that initial line that you started, that you're happy with. Because you may be putting a bit of green over top of it, the darker green, and maybe a bit of yellow, just kind of giving variation to the line. But at this point, just try and stick to your path so that you have a good shape to start with, and then you can vary it as you want. Just gonna break off pieces that are hanging low and just bring them up just to use that fiber. So we will need to give a lot more attention to this. It's quite soft and fuzzy still. So you want it to be the same matted effect. So you will need to poke it more and more, giving a uniform poking so that everything kind of has the same texture. Unless you want it to be maybe up higher, having the fields a bit thicker, which that's up to you, so you just do less felting. But just make sure that it's felted enough to stay to the mat. Okay, so now a bit of our green, just gonna do that trail down the center, down the dirt road, where the grass grows in between. So I'm going to give it a bit of a tug once I get it anchored, because I want it to be thin up here. Because I haven't really established my horizon line, but I have, because of where I started my road. So just try and stay as close to the center. In actuality, the center will look skinnier on one side than the other. So I'll widen it as I go along. So now I will try and stay in the center of the path. So right now it's the same width, but I'm going to pinch off the end and add back a bit, just a little bit higher up, so I can thicken it. Just giving it a little bit of tug so that you can keep that path, that line, as straight as possible, going in the direction that you want it to be. Still need to divide it a bit more. Now to create the horizon line, we use the yellow and a bit of green. I'm going to break off several pieces. Actually, we'll apply the green first underneath. So don't forget to pull up your piece and rotate it around so that things fit. And you don't want it to stick to the mat too long because you're going to lose some of your fibers the more you poke into it. You're going to lose it inside the foam. So it's important just to release it every once in a while. Just give it a few little places where we're going to add the green, so if it shows through, that's great. Stay within your path and try and work horizontal. And if you just want to add a few patches and then anchor them down, and then we'll start adding in the yellow on top. And you'll be able to see some of the brighter green once we start adding the yellow. But just anchor that down. So we'll just add the yellow in the same way, but possibly a bit thicker in each pass. So it's okay if it overlaps your path right now. So just keep in mind where your path is and just anchor that down on the inside of it. And then follow your horizon line. You want to spread the fiber out just a little bit so you can see some of your green, which is fine. But try and keep the fiber horizontal at this point. And then just continue to add on both sides, keeping in mind your path. And you want to spread out the fiber so you can see a little bit of the green to add to your composition. So we can just add a little bit of undergrowth using the darker green, showing under the plant, so it would be just a little bit to give that effect of it being in shadow. We use the darker green. And we're going to apply it in a vertical way. So it looks like the plant's growing up. So just adding a little tiny sprigs, and then just use your needle and go up and down along the path on the inside of it, on the yellow. So smaller toward the back, larger toward the front. So it'd be larger patches of the dark green closer to the front, because you're seeing more of the plant from where you're standing, this perspective. We'll be adding a bit more yellow just over top. To regain that fullness of the yellow. Just tiny little sprigs. And continue that all the way on each side. Adding a bit of brighter green just to give the appearance of brighter, younger grass along the path, all the way down, but just small, very small at the top, and gradually gets larger. You can kind of spread out the fibers. Kind of gingerly poke them down in a kind of non-committal kind of way, so you can just kind of spread the fibers out. And then once you're happy with their location, then you can anchor them down more securely. If I go to the bottom and just, so I'm not really happy with that, so I'm going to pull that up a little bit. I'm going to do it a bit more intense down at the bottom. But I kind of still want it to be spread out, so, but just heavier. And I also want to do it along the sides of the road here. Just like all of it, we're doing skinnier and thinner toward the top and heavier toward the bottom. You can do that on both sides. So just to add a little bit of a closer appearance of the flowers, we'll just add them in a vertical way. Small bits though. Just make it look like the flowers are closer to us, because they wouldn't be growing horizontally, they would be standing upright. And this basically is a, impressionistic approach. We're just adding fiber in a soft manner, not really putting a lot of detail at this point. We're just trying to figure out how the needle responds to wool. And then once you get confidence, then you can feel brave enough to just tackle your own creation and add as much detail as you'd like. So you see there's lots of fuzzy, soft. So I would I'm going to go over this whole picture and just give it a once over and just make everything flatter. So we can move on to the clouds. Just pinching off small bits so that's nice and wispy. Some of them I'm going to layer. You can stagger them. You can even give it a little twirls, which is pretty. And then when you're poking it, if you want to emphasize the shape of the cloud, then just concentrate on moving in that direction when you're applying it. So I want to kind of keep the little separations of the cloud so they'll be thick and thin. So I'm just going to be mindful of that. So the clouds are your creation. Don't have to copy what I have. If you want to look at another picture reference and create your own, that would be fun. So just continue to anchor that down. So this could be your completed project. I just like to give a little haircut to finish off. So this picture needs a bit more of felting. So that's your, you can leave it as soft as you'd like, or you really could completely felt it, which is nice if you want to use it as a picture to hang up. But all you have to do is just go through and just give it a nice bit of felting across all of the surfaces so that everything can be at least the same height and same firmness. So that's our road canola field felting project. Thanks for joining me today. Hope this video was helpful. So to replenish your felting supplies, just visit us at the farm market or on our website.